Who will win, Life Bringer Galactus or Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet? In the vast universe of Marvel, where stars sparkle like precious gems in the endless darkness, an ancient entity has undergone a profound transformation. Galactus, once known as the devourer of planets, has become Life Bringer Galactus. His colossal body, towering over galaxies, is covered in silver armor that shimmers in the light of the stars. His face, with eyes as deep as the cosmic abyss, now exudes peace instead of insatiable hunger. He moves through space, his hands reaching out to touch dead planets, and from his fingertips, green energy filled with life flows, turning deserts into jungles, ash into sparkling lakes. The small creatures on those worlds look up, witnessing the miracle of the giant god. Life Bringer Galactus is no longer a destroyer. He has found a new calling, bringing balance by rebirth rather than destruction. However, his power is still an outerversal force, beyond the limits of conventional reality, where he can manipulate the very nature of existence. In another corner of the universe, on the desolate planet Titan, with its rocky mountains glowing red under the weak sunlight, Thanos sits on his throne. He is an eternal Titan, his dark purple skin glistening in the dim light, his muscular body with angular lines that seem carved from granite. In his left hand is the Infinity Gauntlet, a shimmering golden glove inlaid with 6 sparkling infinity stones. Soul, mind, power, reality, time, and space. Each stone emits a distinct light, forming a halo around him, distorting the space around him as if it were bending. Thanos has collected them over countless conquests, and now, with the gauntlet complete, he possesses near-limitless power. He can snap his fingers to wipe out half the universe, manipulate time to reverse the past, or reshape reality at will. His face, with its half-smile revealing his pearly white teeth, exudes absolute confidence. He is not a pure evil. He believes his actions bring balance, just as he once sought the approval of Lady Death. The existence of these two entities seems to be parallel, but fate has brought them into an inevitable confrontation. Life Bringer Galactus, in his quest to bring life, has realized that the universe is threatened by destructive forces. He senses the vibrations of the Infinity Gauntlet, a source of energy that could disrupt the balance he is trying to maintain. From afar, he sees Thanos planning another snap to reshape reality to his liking. Galactus decided to intervene, his massive body hurtling through space, leaving behind green trails of light like comet tails. Thanos, sitting on the throne, suddenly felt the vibration. The Infinity Gauntlet in his hand was hot, the stones flashing like a warning. He stood up, his purple eyes flashing with curiosity and caution. Through the space stone, he saw the Life Bringer Galactus approaching, his giant body covering an entire galaxy. The space around Galactus curved, the small planets swirled, as if being sucked into his orbit. Thanos smiled. He knew Galactus well from his previous conquests. In the past, when he possessed the Gauntlet, he easily defeated the basic version of Galactus. Even Nebula had contributed to that defeat. But now, Galactus had changed, becoming the Life-Bringer, with power enhanced by the new balance. He, Thanos, did not flinch. He waved his hand, and through the Reality Stone, he created a separate battlefield, an empty space where no living thing was affected. The sky here was pitch black, dotted with sparkling artificial stars. The ground was an endless plain, with cracks glowing with energy. Galactus appeared on the opposite side, his foot stomping down, causing the ground to shake, creating seismic waves that spread like ripples across the surface of a lake. He looked at Thanos, his voice echoing like distant thunder. "Thanos, you are threatening the balance I have spent so much effort to build. The Infinity Gauntlet is not a tool for you to toy with the fate of the universe." Thanos laughed loudly, his laughter echoing through space, causing the artificial stars to flicker. "Galactus, you were once the devourer. Now you pretend to be the savior. I know your power, and it is not enough to counter this gauntlet." He raised his hand, the Power Stone flashed a bright red, releasing a huge beam of energy straight at Galactus. The beam cut through space like a laser blade, illuminating the entire battlefield with a blood-red color. Galactus raised his hand to block. A green stream of energy poured out from his body, forming a giant spherical shield. The beam collided with the shield, creating a dazzling explosion of light, distorting the surrounding space, as if it was being torn apart. He felt the infinite power from the gauntlet, but as a Life-Bringer, he had the ability to absorb and transform energy. He pushed it back, turning the red beam into a green stream, carrying life force that spread towards Thanos. Thanos dodged, using the Space Stone to teleport to another location. He appeared behind Galactus, his body small compared to the giant entity, but his power was no less. He activated the Time Stone, slowing down time around Galactus, making his movements sluggish as if swimming in honey. The stars in the sky seemed to stop, their light frozen. Thanos took advantage of that moment. launching a punch enhanced by the Power Stone, hitting Galactus straight in the back. The punch created a shockwave that spread out, cracking the ground into deep craters. Galactus roared, his voice echoing like the wind howling through the canyons of space. Even though time was slowed, he used the Outerversal power to break the bond. Green energy bursting from his body, pushing back the effects of time. He turned around, his hand reaching out to grab Thanos like a doll. Thanos' body was squeezed, but he smirked, activating the Reality Stone to turn his body into gas, slipping out of Galactus' grasp. The gas swirled around, forming dark purple swirls, then condensed back into its original form at a safe distance. The battle dragged on, with successive attacks. Galactus summoned small planets from space, throwing them at Thanos like giant fireballs. Each planet flew through the air, leaving a trail of red fire and billowing black smoke. Thanos used the Space Stone to open a space portal, swallowing the planets into nothingness. He countered by using the Soul Stone, trying to suck Galactus' soul into the Gauntlet. The golden light from the stone spread, forming invisible threads that dragged his soul along. Galactus resisted, his Lifebringer power allowing him to regenerate his soul from cosmic energy. He released a stream of life, turning the golden threads into lush green trees that grew from nothingness, wrapping around Thanos. Giant branches with lush green leaves stretched out, squeezing his body, forcing him to use the Mind Stone to control his mind and break the illusion. As they fought, memories flooded back to both of them. Thanos recalled the conquest of the Infinity Gauntlet when he defeated the old version of Galactus with Nebula. At that time, Galactus was weak after being starved, easily defeated by him with a blow from the Gauntlet. Nebula, with her metallic cyborg body, assisted him, firing lasers from her mechanical arm. Now, Galactus was stronger, but Thanos believed that the Gauntlet was still the key to victory. Galactus also remembered those defeats. He was defeated by Adam Warlock when Warlock possessed the Gauntlet, Warlock's golden body glittering under the infinite light, easily manipulating him. Magus, the evil version of Warlock with white hair and a crazy smile, also subdued him. But now, as the Lifebringer, he has surpassed his limits, becoming a true Outerversal entity, able to compete with infinite power. They continued to fight, the battlefield now filled with floating planetary debris, the light from the stones shining like cosmic fireworks. Thanos used the Time Stone to create past versions of himself. Dark purple figures appeared, attacking Galactus from many directions. Galactus responded by creating giant creatures from life, energy. Green monsters with sharp claws rushed at the versions of Thanos. The infinite energy storm created by Thanos still roared in the battlefield. The pitch-black vortexes, sparkling with purple light from the Infinity Stones, swept everything like a hungry monster. The floating planetary debris was sucked in, dissolving into dust of light. Lifebringer Galactus stood in the center of the storm, his giant body swaying. The sparkling silver armor now dimmed, like a dying flame under the strong wind. His eyes, deep as two black holes, still shone with indomitable will. He raised his hand, green energy flowing from his palm, forming strings of light that wrapped around the storm, trying to restrain it. His roar echoed, like the explosion of a supernova, shaking the entire dimension. Thanos stood not far away, on a cliff suspended in the void, his dark purple eyes cold. He raised the Infinity Gauntlet, the stones flashed in unison, forming a brilliant halo around his body. The Power Stone flared up blood red, the Time Stone glowed pale green, the Reality Stone sparkled golden. He waved his hand, and from the Space Stone, a space portal opened right behind Galactus. From that portal, dozens of giant meteorites rushed out, each stone burning like a fireball, aiming straight at the giant entity. The sound of their collision created dazzling explosions. White light burst out like fireworks, illuminating the dark space. Galactus did not flinch. He waved his hand, creating a green energy shield, shaped like a giant spider web, blocking the meteorites. The stones shattered when they touched the shield, turning into sparkling stardust that fell like rain. He stepped forward, each step shaking the ground, glowing cracks spreading like the veins of the planet. "Thanos," he said, his voice low and deep, ringing like the tolling of an ancient temple. "You can manipulate reality, but you do not understand the nature of life. I am not just a being, I am the embodiment of cosmic balance," Thanos sneered, his smile revealing his white teeth in the flickering light of the stones. "Balance? You speak of balance when you yourself have devoured millions of worlds? Do not pretend to be noble, Galactus." He activated the Mind Stone, his eyes flashing as he entered Galactus's mind. Images from the past appeared. Galactus, in his old form, gaunt and hungry, defeated by Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet battle. He saw Nebula, half human, half machine, firing lasers at Galactus, and Adam Warlock, with his golden hair, standing tall with the gauntlet in his hand. The memories were like sharp blades, cutting into Galactus's will. But Life Bringer Galactus was no longer the weakling he once was. He focused, green energy bursting from his body, repelling the Mind Stone's intrusion. He created an illusion of himself, a more gigantic version, with arms outstretched, embracing the entire galaxy. The illusion emitted a blinding light, causing Thanos to step back, shielding his eyes from the brilliant light. "I have surpassed my limits," Galactus said, his voice like a tidal wave, "and you will not be defeated by me again." He released a burst of life energy, transforming the space around him into a strange cosmic forest. Giant trees rose from the void, their trunks shimmering silver, their green leaves emitting a gentle light. The branches stretched out, wrapping around Thanos like giant snakes, squeezing his body. Thanos roared, using the reality stone to turn the branches into dust, but Galactus did not stop. He continued to attack, summoning light creatures, shaped like giant dragons, to fly around Thanos, spewing green energy beams. Thanos, with the determination of an indomitable warrior, activated the full power of the Infinity Gauntlet. He snapped his fingers, and the battlefield shook. A multicolored explosion of light erupted, sweeping away the cosmic forest, dissolving the light creatures. Galactus felt the infinite power overwhelming him. His green energy stream faded. His giant body began to sway. Thanos advanced, the gauntlet sparkling in his hand, his voice cold. "You fought well, but my power is absolute." The battlefield shook violently. The floating planetary fragments spun in the void, reflecting the flickering light from the Infinity Stones on the Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos, standing tall on a floating rock, his dark purple eyes shone with determination. He raised his hand. The stones on the gauntlet burst into brilliant light, forming a multicolored halo around his body. The Power Stone glowed blood red, the Time Stone sparkled pale green, while the Reality Stone radiated a golden light, bending the surrounding space like a distorted painting. He looked at the Life Bringer Galactus, the giant entity weakening, its once sparkling silver armor now fading, like the moonlight hidden by clouds. Galactus, though overwhelmed, did not yield. His body, towering over the galaxies, shook one last time. He raised his hand, his palm emitting a stream of brilliant green energy, like a river of life flowing from an eternal spring. From that stream of energy, hundreds of light creatures emerged, each taking the form of legendary beasts, dragons with glittering scales, phoenixes burning with green light, and giant unicorns with glowing horns. They rushed towards Thanos, forming a whirlwind of light, roaring like thunder that echoed through the dimensions. Each collision between them and Thanos' infinity shield created a dazzling explosion of light, shaking space as if it was about to collapse. Thanos, with cold calm, activated the Space Stone. He waved his hand, opening dozens of space portals around Galactus. From those portals, jets of pitch-black energy poured out, like giant snakes, tightly wrapping around the light creatures. They were sucked into the void, disappearing into the endless darkness. Thanos advanced, each step cracking the ground, leaving dark purple streaks like the veins of a dead planet. He used the Reality Stone, transforming the space around Galactus into an invisible cage, with walls of shimmering energy squeezing his massive body. "You can bring life," Thanos said, his voice as deep as the wind blowing through the desert, "but I am the one who decides fate." Galactus roared, his roar causing the artificial stars above the battlefield to flicker. He focused all his outerversal power, shattering the cage with a blast of green energy. The blast spread out, creating a wave of light that swept away Thanos' portals. He created a giant sphere of energy, inside which glittered the images of the millions of planets he had reanimated. "Thanos," his voice echoed like a prophecy from an ancient temple, "you may destroy this form, but the life I bring will endure." He threw the orb at Thanos, and it exploded, creating a storm of green light that shook the entire dimension. Thanos raised the Infinity Gauntlet, the stones glowing, forming an infinity shield that blocked the storm. He stepped through the light, each step seeming to trample on the very essence of reality. He activated the Reality Stone, transforming Galactus' body into a weaker form, like his old self, skinny, hungry, and vulnerable. Galactus tried to resist, but the infinity was too overwhelming. He felt the life force leave his body, the silver armor fading, leaving a weakened being, only his deep eyes shining with the last of his will. Thanos raised his hand one last time, and the stones flashed in unison. He snapped his fingers, and a burst of infinite energy engulfed Galactus. The colossal form of Life Bringer Galactus collapsed, dissolving into a cloud of light, sparkling like falling stars. The battlefield fell silent, save for Thanos' labored breathing. He stood there, the gauntlet gleaming in his hand, his violet eyes staring into the void where Galactus had been. "The strongest is still me," he whispered, his voice as deep as the waves crashing against the rocks of a desolate planet. Thanos stood in the middle of the devastated battlefield, surrounded by floating planetary debris, reflecting the faint light of the artificial stars. The ground beneath his feet was cracked, the cracks emitting a faint purple light, as if the planet itself was dying. The infinity gauntlet in his hand still sparkled, but the light of the stone seemed to be less bright than before. He looked at the soul stone, where the images of millions of souls he had manipulated sparkled. Among them, the silhouette of Gamora appeared, her green eyes looking at him with reproach. The memory of sacrificing her for the soul stone rushed back, like a sharp knife stabbing into his mind. He clenched his fist. The stones vibrated slightly, as if reminding him of the price of power. He walked, his heavy feet stomping on the broken ground. Each step kicked up stardust, sparkling like fragments of fading memories. He remembered Galactus's words about balance, about the life that the giant had brought to the universe. He wondered if his actions had truly brought about what he desired, a balanced universe, or if they were just destruction disguised as an ideal. He raised his head, looking up at the pitch-black sky, where the artificial stars flickered, as if telling the story of the recent war. A feeling of emptiness crept into his mind, a feeling that not even the Infinity Gauntlet could erase. In a far corner of the universe, the remnants of the Life Bringer Galactus's energy still existed. A small green light, like a sparkling seed, floated in the endless space. It fell on a dead planet, where there was only dust and gray rocks. From that point of contact, a green tree grew, its trunk shimmering silver, its green leaves emitting a gentle light. The wind blew through the trees, rustling the leaves, creating a sound like the whisper of the universe. The life Galactus left behind was not completely gone. It continued to spread, a reminder that even in defeat, his will endures. Thanos returned to Titan, his home planet, where red mountains of rock rose beneath a hazy sky. He sat on his throne, a black, polished stone carved from the mountain itself. He removed the Infinity Gauntlet and placed it on a cold pedestal beside him. The stone still glittered, but their light seemed dimmer to his eyes. He looked out at the horizon, where the blood-red sky of Titan stretched out endlessly. He thought of Galactus, of the Outerversal power he had faced, and of what he had learned. This war was not just about victory, but about a better understanding of the nature of power and responsibility.